am so excited.
Oh my gosh, we are back again.
We're back again.
Back again now.
Oh yeah, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to
That's
strive,
right.
and we're going to
Absolutely.
press, and we're not going to stop.
No.
And that's what it's going to
No.
take in this season.
Absolutely.
It's going to take a pushing, a striving, and a
Yes.
pressing. You agree with that?
I agree.
Pushing,
Yes.
striving,
That's right.
and a pressing.
And a pressing.
And making
Wow.
sure we're connected to the right people
Yeah.
that give us the push, to strive, and the
Yes,
press.
that's
Does,
right.
does that make
That's right.
sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And to stay plugged in once we get connected.
Somebody need to
Because
hashtag
the connection
that.
is no
Plugged
good
in.
if it's not plugged in.
That's
Yes.
it.
Absolutely.
Because we're in a whole new season.
Whole new season.
Not about a connection,
That's
it's about being plugged in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
we're really super excited
Yes.
about
I
this
am.
awesome woman of God being plugged in today.
That's right.
Woo!
Oh, she's plugged in.
She's plugged in.
She's definitely plugged
I'm
in.
telling you.
Many areas.
Many
she's
areas.
plugged in. Absolutely.
You know what? Let me introduce her.
Yes.
I want to introduce her, our sister in Christ today. I call her two-time covenant.
Two-time covenant.
Two-time
Yes.
covenant.
Yes.
Two times she's a mother,
Amen.
she's a grandmother,
Yes.
she's an entrepreneur,
Yes.
she's a believer.
Wow.
Yes.
But most importantly, what I love about this woman
Yeah.
of God,
Yeah.
she raised entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Yes.
She
That's
raised
right.
her seeds,
Wow.
her children, to be
Yes.
independent.
Yes.
So help me give it up for her, our sister
Woo.
in Christ, two-time
Two-time
Fred
covenant.
Biles.
Yes.
I'm excited. You know,
Super
Elder
excited
Carol, I
to
don't know
have
about
you.
you, but
Yeah.
just being able to embrace her today,
Yeah.
it was so powerful.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
never know,
Yeah.
who's in your presence.
That's true.
That's why we can't
So
take
true.
advantage of people.
That's
We
right.
can't take
That's
advantage of
That's
an
right.
atmosphere.
That's
we have
right.
to begin to embrace things
Right.
because
That's right.
and learn how to hear.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. Because you
Yes.
never know what's inside a person.
Yes.
You never know what God has imparted inside of
Yes.
them for a time such as this.
Yes.
Right in our midst. You know, and sometimes we have so much in our spirit
Yes.
to depart
Yes.
because God has
Yes.
placed it there. But
Yes.
we often just walk by people and we just take for granted what's in our midst.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's the best kept secret.
Yes.
God will hide you for a
Yes.
season.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
for a season.
Only for a season though.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I have to say this to you, and we just got to just really give it up for the son
Yeah.
that's on the inside of you.
Yes.
Amen.
She's a planter.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Is that
good.
all right?
That's good.
That's
She
good.
plants seeds. I like to say, Sister Fred, she drop it like it's hot in
Yeah.
you.
All right.
She'll drop a word.
Yeah.
Am I right? She'll
Yes.
drop a word, and
Yes.
that's what you did
Yeah.
for us today. Let me talk about our
Oh my gosh.
That's our platform today.
Woo.
Let's
Blown
welcome
away.
Elder Carol
Yes.
tonight. Let's welcome Elder Carol today. Listen, our Vice President of Sister Brown Sisters, we're super excited
Yes.
about the sister circle on tonight.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
we're amazingly excited about the empowerment that we're going to
Absolutely.
receive
Yes.
from this platform on
Yes.
tonight. We're really excited because, on this show, we're going to do something that I believe is going to transition and transform the mindsets of women.
Yes.
And that's what we want
I'm
to do. Not
excited
just
about that.
women, just
Yeah.
people.
Just people in general.
That's it.
Yeah, and it's going to be an eye opener.
Yes.
It's going to give you a whole nother perspective.
Yes.
And I like to use that word perspective because, perception is in the eye of the one perceiving.
Absolutely.
But the perception will become your reality.
Yes.
So it's very important
Come on.
that what we're perceiving is good.
It's good.
So there's different perceptions
That's good.
Yes.
to the way of seeing things.
Yes.
And today in our conversation, my eyes were open to so many more different perspectives, especially, and I'm not going to give it away, but once the people hear, even the topic
Yes.
of, as Freddie said when we were talking earlier, there's been so much, not much as a stigma, but the way that we have been conditioned to think.
What did you think?
And she put a totally different spin on it that
Yeah.
blew me away.
That blew us away.
Blew me away. Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
want to be able to share
Yes.
and talk about it in tonight's show, and I believe it's going to do just that.
Yeah.
It's going to do some transforming
Yes.
the mindset.
Yes.
To think of things differently, because I do believe that the world system have placed us on this conformed mindset.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, like a
I do
conformed
believe it.
mindset.
Yes.
And regardless of where it come from, it could come from a generational curse,
Yes.
could come from bondage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
But we know
Absolutely.
that the mind is conformed
Yes.
to think a certain way.
Absolutely.
So we want to break that chain.
Yes, absolutely.
And the topic tonight is, and it's so powerful, can a woman raise boys to men successfully?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can a woman raise boys to men? And the key word
Successfully.
here
Yeah.
is successful.
Successfully.
Because we know that they can, right?
That's right.
Yes.
We know they can.
We know.
But
yes.
What about successfully? What are your thoughts about that? That's powerful.
Yeah.
Successfully, I think that we can raise them successfully, because I always look at us as a woman. God made us virtuous women we know what a man has to give into our lives.
That's good.
So those are the things that we give into our son.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely.
It's the truth.
Absolutely.
And see, a lot of times a man doesn't know. He only knows himself.
Absolutely.
But I think we better qualify as women to give into little boys and raise that man. Guess what? We know as women what we need from a man.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's it. Because they were placed in the womb of the mother. I think that's what you're saying.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're dealing with the empowerment.
Yes.
And the empowerment, and I think that's so important, from knowing who we are.
Yes.
And I think that's powerful, to know who we are, to know that God has placed in us everything we need.
Everything.
You know, because some situations happen.
Wow.
I know you can contest to this, that some women put in a situation where they don't have that male figure.
Yes.
And so what do?
Yeah.
Do we digress? Do
Right.
we die?
Absolutely.
Or do we pick up our
Right.
cross and we talk
Right.
about that and follow
Yes.
God?
Yes.
I do believe that women, when we're in that situation, when we don't have a choice and we have to raise boys to men, there's very important to us that we live on a faith-based system.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think that's the key component that's missing, and
Yes.
a lot of women
Yes.
are struggling
Right.
because they're trying to raise these boys in the system of the world.
That's
system
right.
of the world.
And a lot of times that system will force women to settle. And we talked about that
That's
earlier
good.
too. Instead of that female thinking that she can raise that boy
Absolutely.
and he can still be a successful man,
Right.
we settle and feel like we have to get married or we have to have a male in that house, any male, in order to raise that boy. So it forces us to settle
And become desperate.
and to
And be-
become
out of
desperate.
desperation.
And that's the thing. And sometimes you have to watch who you put over your sons, because just because it's a man doesn't mean it's the right man that's qualified to raise your son in a positive atmosphere or environment. So we have to be careful with the enemy making us feel so desperate that I can't do it because I'm a woman. Gender has nothing to do with it.
That's powerful.
It has nothing to do with it. It's instilling morals and guidelines. And guess what? There's an almighty Father that downloads that in us, and that's God. So you mean to tell me God can't download the principles inside me that I need to raise my son? I beg to differ, because I raised 3 boys to men successfully. They are all successful.
That's good.
So that's a loaded question, sis. And I think it's a topic that needs to be discussed, because I believe that a lot of women struggle with that. They really do, because of what society, or not even just society, but what my mother or what my grandmother has told me has to be in my house in order for me to be successful. So now I'm so desperate that I'm going to let Pookie down the street come into my home and help me raise my son, because I've been told that in order for me to have a successful man, I have to raise a successful man. It has to be raised by a man.
By a man. Absolutely. That's powerful.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be willing to give something up.
Yeah.
Because this is what I think. Mothers have to be willing to lose a relationship in order to gain a greater relationship.
Wow.
Yes.
Powerful.
That's powerful.
It's
And I don't think that's a place that we really want to be.
No.
When we have to accept, I may have to lose a relationship with my child in order to gain a greater relationship with my child.
With my child.
Because now I want a proper relationship in order for things to flow in that proper alignment.
Absolutely.
Because with me, I always become transparent, you know, and because I believe that my story can help someone. And I know that God took me through this transition, not for myself. And I often say that. I'm going to continue saying that. But I had to, listen, I was forced to, you know, not by choice. But I said, listen, I had to raise, I had to pick up that cross, and I had to follow God.
That's right.
And, you know, I now have a 15-year-old teenager that he's not a man man yet.
Yeah.
So now I had to take on the responsibility.
Yes.
So I had to be willing to lose a
Yes.
relationship
Yes.
to gain a greater
That's right.
relationship.
That's right.
Because honestly, his dad,
Yeah.
you know, my husband did all the empowerment,
Yes.
gave him those, it's giving him
Right.
those tools to become a man.
Right.
So he was more of the aggressor, if you will.
Sure,
Does that make
absolutely.
sense?
Yes.
So he was the
Yes.
disciplinary when it come to my
Yes.
boys.
Yes.
I was the nourisher. You know,
Yes.
I nourished.
Yes.
You
Yeah, I
did what you were
nurtured.
supposed to do.
I nurtured
Yeah.
and did the things that I was supposed to do
Absolutely.
as a mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when Will, you know, was transitioned over to heaven, I found myself having to come out of that relationship that I had with Wes,
Yes.
Yeah.
and even
And
with
create a new
Will,
one.
and create a new
one.
relationship.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I was, you know, able, and I had to accept
Yes.
that it was okay for me to lose that relationship to come into a great relationship.
Yes.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
It makes
Absolutely.
And it was a transition.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Because we had to break some chains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's like, Mom, wait a minute
Because they
now.
weren't used to that coming from you.
Yes.
Now you're stepping into a zone that you haven't been in,
That
and
you
they don't
haven't been
expect
in.
you. And they say, wait a minute,
Yes.
that belongs to Dad.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
You know, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and let me say this: we're not talking about if you have a relationship that has you have a great man in your home. That's awesome.
That's
What we're
awesome.
talking about is when you are not blessed to have that at that
That's
time.
it. That's
Because
it.
please don't misunderstand what we're saying.
Absolutely.
If you have a great man in your
Yes.
home to raise your sons,
That's
that
awesome.
is the proper
That
way
is-
to do it.
that's the
So
proper
please
way.
don't misunderstand what we're saying.
Yes.
That's the proper way. But
Absolutely.
sometimes we all don't have that
Absolutely.
luxury because guess what? Life happens.
That's
Like that.
And
right.
if life
That's it.
happens, and if you find yourself in a situation where you have a son that you're raising and you don't have that man in your home
Absolutely.
at that time, it's okay to wait for God
Yes.
to send the right
Absolutely.
man. And during that time, you as the female,
Absolutely.
God will download
Yes.
principles in you
Absolutely.
as He did you
Yes.
to be able to raise those sons
Absolutely.
in a positive way.
Yes.
But you didn't have to go run out. Oh, now that Willie has transitioned to go to heaven.
Absolutely.
Oh my
That's
goodness!
it.
Yeah, because I have two
He's
sons.
given it to
Now
all good
I
things.
must go out there.
Yes.
And did you say I must go out there
Yes.
now? And I must get married, or I must bring a man into my home
Yes.
because I have two sons. You didn't say that.
Absolutely.
You said, God,
No.
I'm the parent now.
Yes.
So now I trust you, God, and I have faith that you're going to
Yes.
give me what I need
Absolutely.
to raise my sons. Gender did not play a role in what
Absolutely
you
not.
said.
No.
You never said, "Oh, I'm a woman, I can't do this."
No. And I think that your point was very valid.
Yes.
That was really good. Could you repeat that? That was good. That was really
That
good.
we as women, God has given into us everything that we need
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to raise girls or boys.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
He's given into us everything
Yes.
that we
That's it.
need.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's what we're trying to make women aware of.
That's it.
It's not that you only have what it needs to raise your daughter.
Right.
He's given it to us every good
Yes.
thing to raise our sons.
To raise that. That's
And
right.
as women, it's like I told her, we have what it takes. We know as women
Absolutely.
what it takes, what we need from a man.
Right.
And those are the things that we plan and we give into our sons
That's right.
That's good.
to
That's right.
make men.
Because who better than a woman knows
That's it.
what it takes? Because we are the ones that are looking for it.
That's-
We know what it
that's
takes.
right.
But it's
for a good
challenging.
man.
It's
Yeah.
challenging.
And I'll tell you why. It's challenging, and I don't know if you can, the both of you should be able to contest to this. When you have to raise those boys and raise them alone, and as a mother and a father, because sometimes our mother nurturing ways get in the way.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we find ourselves
Yeah.
being a little over
Say it. Please say it.
protective
I went through it. Yeah.
because it's hard for us to let them go.
Yes.
So did you find
Yes.
yourself?
Yes,
with your-
yeah,
with
yeah,
your-
myself.
that's a challenging for us.
Yes.
To
And
let
it
that
is
go.
challenging.
It was challenging for me to let that
Yes,
go.
yes.
Yeah.
It
Because
is
I
challenging.
struggled with that at
Yeah,
first.
so did I.
I struggled with that
Yeah.
at first until something on the inside of me just rose up.
Yeah.
Like a giant rose up one day,
Yeah.
and I said, "Oh, because I realized this is something that I had to do.
Yeah.
I may not wanted to do it, but something I
Yeah.
had to
Well,
do."
I think the difference is, and you bring up a valid point, when it's balanced, and when you do have a man in the house, you can be only that nurturer.
Right.
Because he's going to bring that other part
That balance.
of what you need to
That's
balance.
right.
But when the man isn't in there, and if all you do is nurture, that's when you can go too far because there's no
Yes.
balance.
Absolutely.
Because you have to be able to cut it off and you've got to be able to cut the cords and let them grow, especially a man, because he has to assume head of household. He has to know how to take control, and he has to know how to be in charge and to be the head of his family. So we got to know when to let them go and let them be independent. So at some point, we have to stop the nurturing. And when the man isn't there, it's like, how do I find that compass for myself?
Absolutely.
To stop, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and once again, it's almost like a reality check.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we are going to swim or we're going to sink.
Yes.
It's a reality check. And I can remember, and I'm stepping back with Wes and say, okay, I have to now take a check.
Yeah.
It's personal now.
Yes.
Because that's that I'm able to lose the light.
Yeah.
Because I know he's gonna love me.
Right.
But I have to able to lose the light.
The light.
Because
You might not like
boys
it.
like mommy.
Yeah.
You know, because we want to cook, we want to take care, we want to
They
do all.
cling to
So
her.
I'm able to lose the light. And I remember telling Wes one day, you're not going to like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long as you don't stop loving me, I'm okay.
I'm okay
You
with
will
that.
never stop loving me, but for a moment in time, you're not going to like your mother.
Yeah.
And I remember having that moment with him. And he looked at me, and you can see the transformation happening when I had to walk the things that I was beginning to preach about. So it's like, okay, no, this is not what we're going to do. And taking authority.
Yes.
You know, taking that authority, because listen, those boys transitioning to men, that can cause some type of conflict.
Yes.
And one thing I know is really important, that we don't lose the authority.
Yeah.
As the true business owner.
Yes.
As the true authoritative in the house. Because at the end of the day, it can switch, and you'll find that they could be running your household. So it was important.
If you're not careful.
Yes, if you're not careful.
Yeah.
It is so true.
Yeah.
And as young men, boys going into men, that's what they've been taught to do.
Yeah. Yes.
They've been taught
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So that's what we wrestle with as single mothers.
Yes.
You know, society teaches them that. Because I've always had to tell mine, no, I'm the grown up.
That's good.
And you're the child at every level.
Yeah.
Just to keep that
That's
balance.
Good. That's good.
I would always listen, I'm the mother, no matter where.
So you had to redirect.
Redirect him.
Redirect.
Over and over.
Yes.
You said on each stage, no matter what level.
Yes.
On each stage.
Yes.
Each development stage.
Yes.
There was a
Development.
redirect.
Yes. Redirect.
Even as an adult.
Yes.
Redirect. Wow.
Redirect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Very powerful.
Yes.
And
I love
that brought the balance with your relationship.
Yes.
That brought the balance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true, because like she said, society teaches them, you're the man.
Yes, you're the man.
Take strength. So
Yes.
even in the household with the single mom, as they start growing, they try to take that charge with you. And it's like, I'm the man of this house. I'm the king. And you have to say, hold on now. Pump your brakes, shorty. Pump your brakes a little bit.
Yes.
Because this is my home.
That's
I am
right.
the adult. You might be grown,
Yes.
but you're under my roof.
That's right.
So I am
Absolutely.
the queen of this castle.
That's
and you're
right.
not the king, you're the prince.
That's right.
And we can't allow fear
Yeah.
to hinder us.
That's good.
Yes.
Because for some reason, there's fear that likes to try to overtake the mother when it comes to raising those boys.
Yeah.
There's fear. No, you never lose that authority as a mom. And sometimes you're going to get tried. You have to have that one trial error. Am I right?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I had one trial error. I only had to go through one trial
time.
error. And I'll never forget when I told Wes, can somebody say thank you, Jesus?
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. I said, because I often say your house is like your business.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to have rules and regulations.
Right,
I'm showing that he's
absolutely.
19 years old. And I say, okay, we're not going to do this. There's times, there's set times you must come in.
Right.
You're setting
Right.
those rules and regulations. And a lot of people are running their business without rules and regulations.
Yes.
You're running your household without rules and regulations.
Yeah.
You know what that means,
That's
right?
That's
that
right.
means every
Chaos.
stakeholder,
That's right.
every
Chaos.
employee
Yeah.
is going to be
That's
crazy.
right.
They can
No
do
order.
what they want to
No order.
No
No
order.
structure. That's
That's
right.
the key.
That's right.
I remember
No
one
value.
time you telling him what time he had to come in.
Yeah.
One time. And he missed it by 30 minutes. It was 30 minutes. And I thought to myself, and I stayed up just to try and see 30 minutes. But you know what I said? I was laying in that bed, and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to pull that card. See, I can't let that slide.
Yes, that's
30
right.
minutes meant like the next day to me.
Let it
So
slide.
I
You
treated
get an
it
hour
like
next time.
he
Yeah.
came in
Yeah.
the next day.
There you go.
It was 30 minutes after his curfew.
Yes.
Yeah, too.
And you know what I did?
What?
Chuck, chuck, chuck,
Lock
chuck,
the
chuck,
door.
chuck.
Yeah.
Because I told him, I said, if you're late, then you got to figure out where you're going to sleep
Yeah.
at. because you're not going to be here.
Yeah.
So he tried me because he thought it was, Mom, okay, 30 minutes. His key didn't work.
Wow.
Both locked it.
Yes.
For real.
And that's their rule.
And he's still out there.
For something or for
Fall for anything. He's still out there at the glass looking.
Yeah.
Said,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Can't come in here.
Yeah.
He's like, really? Yes.
Really?
Because I had to pull that card.
Yes.
And when I pulled that card, that was the last time. And that was about maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was, and he's 19 now. He was around 17 years old when that happened.
Yeah.
Last time.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yes.
And he was like, wow, Mom, and his response to me was, you're serious. Like, yes.
And then that's
You
it.
need me to throw a pillow outside?
Yes.
And a blanket.
And a blanket.
Yes.
have to, though.
Go back to it.
Yeah.
And we have to
have
do
to.
that. And as mothers, that's difficult for us to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop here because I want to bring someone on. I want to
Yes.
bring, I want to bring a Sister Makisha on. I want to bring a daughter on because I'm telling you, she's absolutely phenomenal. She
Yeah.
raised 2 boys.
Yes.
And the reason why I want to bring her on because she is an absolutely phenomenal woman. This is about sharing. And, you know, I was able to watch her.
Yeah.
I really watched her raise, not her sons, but her brothers.
Wow.
You know, and I would look at her, and I would, look at her, have so much respect for her because of how she raised these boys and transitioned them to men, blew my mind. And that was, and my whole thing was, that wasn't the mother, that was the sister. I went, okay, let me rub on
That's
her.
right. That's right.
It was zero tolerance, and I want to talk about how did you do it,
Yeah.
and how did you maintain so much of consistency without killing the boys?
And not only, and not only without killing them, because one of the things that I admired the most about it is the respect level that she got from them. So not only you didn't have to kill them, but you got so much. Because I'm telling you, boy.
We respectfully, we just using that.
But they still loved and respected you. So there was a balance that you created. You weren't afraid to be a disciplinarian, and assert your authority and fear that, they're not going to love me. And at the end of the day, they still loved you and they had mad respect for you, major, right?
We got to tell us the keys.
Yeah.
Well, I think it came from a place of, raising them came from a deep place of hurt, pain, missing out on things that I feel like every child should have, which is the experience from a mother and a father. Knowing that they lacked that, I did everything in my power to step in and make sure they didn't have to want the love of a mother. They didn't have to want the love of a father. And I noticed that kids really feel it when they're in school, when they're not able to have the nice things that other kids have. And they tend to act out at those ages because they do become bullied, get bullied in school and they get picked on. And with boys, we all know boys just like they call it ride out on them. Ride out. If your shoes ain't right and your clothes not right, little things like that. You're getting ready to get picked on. It's just a given. So,
so you gave him that motherly love.
I gave him the motherly love and the discipline. I knew it was needed. It had
So you gave both.
Talk to me about that discipline.
They had. I mean, you can't do it. If you don't give your children discipline, you're setting them up for failure.
Wow.
That's powerful.
I know that many people talk about a spiritual background, but if they have no discipline, you have failed them 110%. So if they don't get it in the house, a stranger's going to give it to them, and it can be taking their lives. So that's, to me, that's how important discipline is inside of the house. And dealing with just growing up and dealing with a lot of things that I dealt with personally, I did not want them to experience that. So I made a pact with them to teach them along the way.
Wow.
So it was always an open book with me because it was like urgency. I need you guys to learn about everything as soon as possible, as soon as your mind can wrap around what I'm trying to teach you. I need you to hurry up and jump in. I don't have time to wait till you're 16 and 17 because it's urgent. Because your livelihood depends on
How did you handle the first time? I want to talk about how did you handle the first time they ever tried to disrespect you? Honestly, I want to know because I know they're boys. Did you experience one time?
Yes, I did. And it was in school.
Okay.
And with me, I always tell them, you can't do what other kids do because you have a Keisha at home.
That's good. That's good.
You know,
That's
so
good.
That's good.
I always remind them, you can't do what they do. It's cool what they did, but you can't because you got a Keisha at home.
Yeah.
So
How did that Keisha look?
So I noticed that, you know, kids in elementary school, and this was so funny, but Al, he's in like the 4th grade, but he's supposed to walk across the street to my grandmother's house directly after school. Mm-hmm. And I happen to get off early, and I'm, you know, on my way to go and grab him from my grandmother's house. And he's at like a corner store. He's standing up in front of the store. He's like in the 4th grade or something like that. And he's like the tallest one in the crew. And all the boys surrounding him. And he's just like the big man. Got a big bag in his hand. His little snacks. Like he's just free. Yes. So I was like, wait a minute. That's Al. You know, so I pulled up and
So he wasn't supposed to be there?
He was not supposed to be there. He's hanging out in front of a store, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
he's supposed to be at grandma's house.
He's supposed to be at grandma's house directly after school.
All right.
You know, so I pulled up, and as soon as he saw me, his eyes just like
He knew.
He's busted. His eyes, you know, he's big. So I told him, So he walked over to the car, looking, got his head down, and all his friends. Now he got a little crowd of boys following him in 3rd grade, 4th grade. It was crazy. So he walks over to the car and he get in. And I was like, so what you doing at the store? And he was, before he can get a word out, I just like, oh Lord! No, it's real talk.
That's good because I love it. You shut it down.
There's a sense of urgency when it comes to black boys.
Yes.
So we as black women cannot afford to raise them like they're a different race that have privilege because they don't. So there's a sense of urgency when it comes to our boys. We can't send them out there playing with them because the world is not playing with them.
That's powerful.
So when I did that, all the boys was like, whoa. You know, and so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Al, and he put his head down, and no, it didn't feel good. Yeah. But after that, I explained to him, no, there's a sense of urgency on your life. You guys are being murdered every single day. Wow. So I'm not just doing this because I want to. You got to feel my hand so you don't have to feel somebody else's hand.
Wow,
that's powerful.
Because I love you.
So, and that's not going to come from
that's not going to come when you're pushing outside the house. So to me, it was a sense of urgency because I saw day after day, you know, my uncles, my cousins, you know, I saw this. I grew up in this life seeing the police come to the house. Like, this was my reality. So I knew there had to be someone to step in and say, someone have to step in for the boys if we don't have men willing to do it. Right. That's why I know women can raise successful black boys because boys gravitate towards love and discipline. So your race don't matter. Your sex don't matter. Your gender doesn't matter because boys respond to love and discipline. They gotta have it.
I love that.
So it doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
Yes.
That's what they respond to.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful because urgency. There's a sense of urgency. I believe that Keisha hit it on the nose. Yeah. A lot of time we don't embrace the sense of urgency.
And perhaps that's why we're in the condition that we're in now with society.
Yes.
I mean, I seriously, I got an eye opener when you were saying that because I never thought about that.
Yeah.
You know, we often wonder, you know, what's happening? Why are so many of our black men, you know, in the position where they are, you know, either gunned down or they're beat down or whatever? Because, like you said, there's no sense of urgency with these parents to say, hey, I got to take back this control. Because like you said, which is big too, we're raising them like they're privileged like everyone else. Yes. And the reality is it's a sad reality. But it's still reality. That our black boys and our black men are not as privileged as much as we want to say we are. And guess what? We have made strides, but we still are not there. There is still a line drawn in the sand in case you did not know. And we need to stop pretending like it's invisible and like we are as privileged because honestly, is it right? No. Is it fair? No. But is it true? Yes. It's reality. We are not.
And what's better for our boys? Is our boys better raised with a strong, you know, woman or unstable man?
Or a weak man.
And I'm trying not to use the weak. I'm trying to be nice.
No,
And I
it's
just
true.
said,
It's
what
true.
is better?
Loaded.
Because at this point,
Loaded
there is a
question.
911 call.
Yeah.
There's a 911 call when it comes to our boys.
Yes.
And I do believe that there is, it's very important that we begin to take that 911 urgency call.
Yeah.
We're too laid back.
Yes.
Yes,
And a lot of times, and
Yeah.
I don't want to make it a
Laid
culture
back.
thing,
Yeah.
but I want to deal with real life.
Yes.
That's right.
We have
It's
to deal
reality.
with the fact that absolutely, when it comes to African American boys, we have to raise them differently.
Yes.
Differently.
We have to
Yes.
place that. I love what you said, Keisha, and once again, I'm a witness. And I think each one of us can
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yes.
witness to that because when I see the outcome
Yes.
from what's happening right now in my house, because honestly, that could have been a panic for me.
Yes.
Because the transition was real. But when I
Yes.
tell you the respect is there, and that from 17 to 19 years
Yeah.
old, one time came late,
Yes.
never had
Yeah.
a problem.
That's awesome.
Matter
right
of
there.
fact,
Yes.
And with no man being in the
With
house.
no man
That's-
being in the
see,
house
that's the
in
stuff that a lot of
19,
women can't do. They
it's
can't control that.
major
Yes.
respect.
Yes.
And pick up the phone and say, Mom, even if he's home, I'm not gonna be home at 3. I'm running late for work today.
Yes.
So I'll be
Yeah.
home from work today because I have to work late. That's major
Yes.
respect.
Absolutely.
It is. A lot of what happened with your son is that his father, that foundation was
Was
there.
already set.
It was waiting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
if you the right moment
Yeah.
could have shifted, but
Yes.
guess what? That spirit rose up in you.
That's right.
Turn up right
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
See, if the foundation it probably wouldn't have stopped right
That's
there.
powerful.
You had to work on
Yes.
it because
It might have been 2 times,
that
3
father,
times.
yes.
Yeah.
But because that
That's
foundation
really
was
powerful.
there and that respect for his mother was laid, that foundation was laid.
That's true.
So guess what? Sometimes it's like adversaries just want to see us out of place from
Yes.
a moment.
One moment, so you can slide right in.
One moment.
Yeah.
One moment.
That's good.
But guess what? You stood
Yes.
That's
Stood
right.
your
right
ground.
up
Yes.
and
That's
cut
right.
it.
Yes.
You got
That's
it.
good.
And
That's
That's
it.
powerful.
and
I
you
think that's
parented him.
Yes.
You didn't try to befriend him.
Yes.
Right.
See,
What
and
do
that's
we
where
say?
we make that
Willing
mistake.
to lose.
You
Yes.
were willing to
I was willing
lose
to lose.
to
There you
gain.
go.
Yes.
That's
Lose to
it.
gain. I might lose your like, but I'll always gain your love.
Your love.
And
your
we gotta be
respect.
and see, and that's it, parents.
Yes.
We gotta be to a point where
Absolutely.
they're more than our friends. They have to be our children.
Yes.
These are our children.
Yes.
You gotta be willing to lose the like.
That's
So what
right.
if they don't like me? That's how I raised my 3
That's how I
boys.
raised
You
my
might not
kids,
like
too.
me, but I
Yes.
guarantee you, you're gonna
You're
love
gonna
me.
love
And
me.
one day you will appreciate
Yes.
everything that I'm doing
Yes.
for you.
That's it.
And I know that.
That's
And
so
my
powerful.
boys now, and my boys are what? 48, 49, 38, 39, and 30 years old.
Yes.
And right now, they look at me and they'll say, Mom, we love you so much. And we appreciate
Yes.
everything that you instilled
Yes.
in us. Because did I have to give tough love? Absolutely.
Yes.
When you got these big 6'4" and 6'3"
Yes.
I never
men,
forget. Uncle Chuck.
I knew you were going to talk about that one time.
I never
That was my
forget.
one time.
That was your-
That was my
I
one
was
time.
there.
You were there.
And
You
I think the
witnessed it.
whole house. I mean,
Shut
it was like one of those reality checks.
I know.
Because I remember
Something
the
like a
baby.
reality show, wasn't it?
Yeah, because her youngest son said something. It was a little out of line, like, and it wasn't even major. It wasn't major. It wasn't no profanity there or anything like that. I think he
used the
said,
N-word.
yeah, he used the N-word,
Yeah.
and then I think he hit that bruh, something
Bruh.
like that at the
I
end.
ain't no bruh. Do I look like your bruh?
All of a sudden, we were just talking, right? And when he hit that N and bruh, it was like a tornado started shaking, and she said, wait a minute now. And she was coming, I grabbed her. I was like, what are you doing? Because she had surgery.
I had just had
We had to
surgery.
hold her back. We was like, what are you doing? She was going in. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he did. I mean, he just, she's
Yeah.
like, we don't do.
We don't
and
do
that
that.
thing, that was
Yeah.
your
That's what
moment.
I'm saying.
That was his moment.
That was
Yes.
him. And
I'm
he never
saying-
tried me again.
That's so
Yeah.
powerful.
He never tried
And
me
we don't want to
again.
pull that
Right.
card
Yes.
Yeah.
because of fear.
Right.
Because
Yes.
your boys are so much
They're so
taller
much
and bigger.
right.
Yeah.
And he was, Kim, what, 6'4",
Yeah.
about 200 plus pounds.
Yeah.
Now, what would have happened as a female if I would have allowed that to
Yeah, that
to
disrespect.
just go on that disrespect?
And we're not saying violence is the answer
No.
because we know
No.
you have to pray, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
boys need a reality.
That's
check.
right.
Yes.
And I had to assert my authority as being the mom to say, I don't care how big you are.
That's right.
I don't care. Because I am your mother and you will always respect me. And I say, no, bruh, do I look like a bruh? Who are you talking to? And I did. I went to lunch because of and I felt the disrespect because he was frustrated about something. And his conversation began, the frustration, you talking to me, you saying the N-word and bro at the same time. Who you talking to?
Right.
But it was so funny because I had just had major surgery and my siblings were there and they had to grab me. And if they didn't grab me, I'm sorry, Facebook, but I would have grabbed him. I would have grabbed him.
And that's real.
But and as an African American mom or Indian mom, I think sometimes we have to understand, do we want to go there? No. But at the same time, you've got to understand respect, because at the end of the day, I'm not only teaching my boys how to respect their mother, I'm teaching them how to respect a woman.
But you know, most importantly, the relationship that they have with you is amazing.
And I know you always say that.
You know, that's the key. You know, these things that we talk about is like a wow, and some people might go, whoa, well that's not good. But look at the outcome.
Look at the outcome.
Your outcome. You don't get disrespect. You don't get and that's really important, because I know. Honestly, women are really dealing with a lot of disrespect when it comes to boys.
They've never used profanity in my presence. Now, how many people can really say that? Honestly, and that's just the respect level.
Absolutely.
They've never used, and it was so funny. You know, we just had it. And it was funny. We had a conversation. Cam and I had a conversation this morning, and we just had a great event at my house this weekend. And, you know, there was a mixture, a blending of people, of guests that were there. You know, some my age, a lot of his friends were there. And he was sharing with me this morning, which I didn't know. One of his friends, which will remain nameless, but one of his friends, because, you know, he's 30 years old, that's that generation, went to pull out what they called them, the black and mild or whatever you call it. I don't know, the black and mild thing, you know. While they were back by the pool and was finna light it up. And he said, Cameron said, whoa, man, what you doing? So he was like, man, you know, just gotta get a smoke. He was like, you ain't gonna get no smoke here. And he said his friend looked at him like, come on, we boys. And he said, listen, I get it. He said, man, y'all boys, you know, feeding that bad, and you can't wait a couple of hours when you gotta light up a black or whatever he called it. He said, I'm sorry. He said, but listen, I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but you're gonna have to leave off of the property to do that. He said, now you're an adult. And I get it. And he told me, he said, but you know, this is my mom's home.
But see, to me, that's major respect. And there's so many, I've read this before.
Right.
So many children don't respect grandmothers and mothers. Not just moms, but grandmothers. They sit and they'll take out this stuff and do all this craziness. And I'm with you, Elder Kara, never have I experienced that. That is absolutely crazy to me. But once again, it goes back to the way we were raised.
Yes, absolutely.
Who accepted that? Somewhere down the line, this was accepted because kids only do what their atmosphere allows them to do.
Their environment, right?
Yes.
We're product of our environment. And so we're talking about cutting this stuff off at the root, early, because there's a responsibility that we have to carry as a mother. Is that true? And we cannot be afraid to 100%. Step and stand in this authority. I'm a little 5'1", lady. I'm 5 foot tall. 5'1". It doesn't matter to me.
That's right.
Because listen, at the end of the day, we ain't gonna do that today.
That's right.
This is no choices, and we give these kids choices. I'm sorry, there's no choice.
That's right.
Here.
That's the key.
The choice is you stay here or you don't.
That's
if you choose to stay here, these are rules. And this is what we're gonna do. Period. I don't care if you're paying for rent. I don't care. This is my house. Now all of it belong to me. You know, and we have to not be afraid to say. It is major respect.
Demand that respect.
And that's demand that respect. There is something earlier that you said when we were talking. I thought that was so profound. You talked a little bit about, you know, just the women accepting all these different men into the house and being okay about that and understanding that everybody that's coming in is not a man.
It's not a man.
I want you to talk about that.
That was deep.
You know, I thought that was powerful.
Yes, I've noticed as I raised my boys, well, it was always, I knew, it was never out of desperation. And sometimes my father was there, so guess what? That was in me, his daughter. It was in me.
That's good.
And so I knew what to give my sons.
That's powerful.
It was so we have it when we have that foundation. When there's a man and not a boy, I told her. We have to look, and a lot of times there are women meet and there's I met this man.
Right.
Yes.
He's stomping and he's pouting and
Yes.
he's wanting his way.
Come on.
You met a boy.
Yes.
Ooh, that's
And
good.
come on, listen, I always taught my sons is there's a king
Yes.
inside of you just
Yes.
waiting to come out.
Yes.
Good.
There's a king. That's that man. And we have to help our boys.
Yes.
We help them
That's good.
to develop that man
Yes.
inside
That's
of them.
Yes.
Because when they act like little boys, I watch them.
Yes.
And I'm saying, where's that king?
That's good.
Wow.
You can't have your way. Life don't work that way.
That's it.
That's good.
You can't stop and pout and say me,
Yes,
me,
yes,
me.
yes.
God created us
Yes.
for a relationship. You have to relate to others.
Wow.
You
That's
have to. And I always
That's
taught
good.
my son, listen, the way you relate, I'm going to teach you now. I'm the first lady that you're going to have to learn
See
how
what
to
I'm saying?
relate
Yes.
to as a woman.
That's powerful.
That's it.
Okay.
So what I demand from you, that somebody's daughter should benefit from that.
Yes.
Powerful.
Wow.
I
It's
love
the
it.
truth.
That's
and that's
right.
what we have to do as mothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
As mothers. So even when there's a husband in the house,
Yes.
and I watch men,
That's good.
I watch a man, a boy wouldn't, I watch a man with his son, and he teaches them this, you better never disrespect.
That's good.
But then you find a little boy, he sits, he watch disrespect from a son to his mother, to any female.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right.
That's powerful.
So
Relax
that's
about it
it's
and
one
don't do
thing my
anything.
father
Yeah.
used to say, that a woman's life should always be better when there's the presence of a man.
That's good.
A daughter, a neighbor,
Yes.
woman, every
Yes.
girl,
That's
woman,
powerful.
your life should always come up
Yeah.
here when there's a presence of a man.
That's powerful.
It's
Wow.
powerful.
And I'm in
Yes.
agreement with that.
Yes.
That's wisdom.
That's
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
You can. Your neighbor can be a boy. He'll stand and watch you disrespect, but that man will stand up
Yes.
and say,
You better not on
Hey!
Yes.
That's right.
That's
"Have you
it.
lost your mind?
Yeah.
Then take authority.
You don't disrespect a woman like
right.
that
Yes.
And
ever."
you're not afraid to
But
say
I
it.
watch.
don't
See,
care
we
who it
got a generation of little boys
Yes.
that don't want to be men.
Yes.
is. Wow.
They find the
Good.
task of being a man hard.
Yes.
That's
They
good.
don't want to take their rightful places
Yes.
anymore.
That's
So
powerful. That's
Agreed.
real talk.
it's true.
I agree.
That's
It's
real
true.
talk.
Real talk.
That's real
Wow.
talk.
Real talk. So we guess
So
what?
boys sit back and watch, but men take authority.
Men take authority.
And they raise it take a village.
It takes
So
a
men
village.
become that village to stand up and say, I will take authority.
Yes.
Because men don't watch,
Yeah.
they work.
They work. They
No matter
Good.
what.
No matter
it,
what.
no matter what.
And I believe
That's
that.
powerful.
I also think that
That's
even
good.
with
Yes.
women allowing men into the home, I think that a lot of women go wrong when they release their trust to family members only because of blood. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
another issue
That's right.
that women have.
That's so true.
Because
Yeah.
that's my brother, I'm related
Right.
to him.
Right.
Then he has to be a good father
Yeah.
figure or a
That's
good
good
mentor
to
to
know.
my
So,
son.
that's
Because
right.
I'm
That's not
related.
so.
I'm
Because
related.
now
Yeah.
you're teaching
That's so
your
powerful.
son and your kids all of this in the house,
Yeah.
and then you're releasing that trust over to a brother because of relation.
Just because
Yeah.
of relation.
Just because of relation,
Yeah.
not knowing that
Yeah.
that's tainting your seed.
But you know what,
And
Keisha?
I'm doing all the
Just
work that
because
you're doing
you're
in the house.
related, but not because of relationship.
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
relationship.
Because if you had a
exactly.
relationship with them, then you knew what they were all about.
That's
Exactly.
And we don't want to take out the time and develop
Yeah,
relationships.
relationships.
Watch this. Well, who we're related to.
Yes.
That's
And we
true.
end up taking them in the
Powerful.
Yeah.
cares of our
Yes.
home. And you don't know that, guess what? They got inner issues.
Well,
That's
you know
right.
what? A lot of times
Wow.
the issues are open.
Yes.
So a lot of times
You
that
know.
sister knows that there's
Yeah.
an issue.
But just because-
you're my brother, I have to, open
Yeah.
up the gate
Right.
and give you my
Exactly.
seed
Right.
because of relationship.
Right.
And that's where a lot of black boys go wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
They get influenced,
Yeah.
negative influence
Yeah.
from
So that's
family
true.
members.
But I
That's
think
that
that's
generational
different.
curse. That's that
But
generational
then
curse
I-
that's
yeah.
going to go over
I
and
I
over
Yeah.
and
smoke
over.
weed because that's my cousin.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think there's two
Level of
things
trust.
going on. I
Yeah.
think you're right.
Yeah.
I know you're right.
That's a level of
There
trust.
is
Yeah.
because of relationships, so you feel somewhat obligated. When
Yes.
you feel like, okay, since I have a relationship, then there's people that don't have a relationship,
Yes.
and just because we bloodline, I can drop them off to my cousin's house.
Yes.
You have no relationship.
Yeah.
You don't know
You
that
don't
cousin
even know
have
what's
issues.
going on
Yes.
with your
They
cousin.
they
Yes.
have issues. They
Yes.
could be
All
molesting.
of that.
They could be doing all these
Anything.
things here.
Yeah.
And because
But just
oh,
because
just
they're
drop them
related
off.
to
Yes.
you.
Just
Yeah.
because they're
Just
so there
because
are
they're
two
related.
things going on.
Yeah, there are two.
And that's a very powerful point. And I think that's something that we need to deal with.
Yeah.
And we need to not be afraid to talk about it. Why is it so we're so careless when it comes to our children?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
guess what? There are people out there that's planting negative seeds
Yes.
Yes.
on our children. You wonder
Yes.
why they have these issues.
Yes.
It's because you just
Yeah.
drop them off
Yes.
Right.
and don't realize that,
Yeah.
listen, the kids are they're silent pain.
Yes.
Silent
That's right.
pain.
That's
Yes.
why they're kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
want to find out how did they end up? Well, how did you end up? What's wrong with you? Because of the fact that you released them. into
Or
it.
you just ask them, if you go back to a lot of older men and ask them, who first introduced you to that? 9 out of 10 times it's going to be an older family member.
A
To
family
black
member.
boys.
Yeah.
Go back to
Family
them.
member.
When was the first time you started doing that?
Family
Cousin
member.
such and such.
That's
That's
right.
so
Uncle
true.
such and
That's
such.
true.
That's so true.
90% of the time
Yeah.
it's going to come,
Yeah.
that negative influence is going to come
Absolutely.
from blood.
Yeah.
And that's why we say
And that's a gateway that a lot of women don't shut down.
But that's
Yeah.
why, Keisha, we talked about can a woman successfully.
Yes.
That was that
Yeah,
key
yeah,
point.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
or do
Not
they have
raise
to
a
be
boy,
sick?
Yeah,
but
that's
can
right.
we? And that's the
Successfully.
key.
Yes.
And so, in order for us to successfully raise boys to men, it's important that we have a foundation of faith.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is important that we begin to be more
Yes.
careful
Yes. Yes.
and be more accountable.
Yes.
Girl.
I love
And
that
not
word.
be afraid to say no.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You're not obligated to anyone when it comes to your
Yes.
seed.
For sure not.
You have to
You
stand
have
for
control.
something.
That's right.
There you
Because
go.
I saw how you grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw what was imparted to
Yeah.
your life.
Absolutely.
Not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They will be different.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
a boy, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you
That's
like
right.
Well,
one.
I think that
Because
has.
raising seed.
Well, I do want to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I think that has a lot to do. This is reality check. May not like what I'm getting ready to say. That has a lot to do with wanting to be a mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a lot of times we don't want to be a mom.
Yeah.
We don't want to be a mother.
And that's why we
Yeah.
push them out. So that
Yeah.
answers the question you
That'll
said.
work.
Why
Yeah.
are we so careless with our children?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we don't want the
And
responsibility.
we see I see a lot of that.
And what
Yes.
about this? What about
Yes.
this? And then it
Yes.
transfer your responsibility on to grandmothers.
That's right.
Yes.
And so now
That's right.
grandmothers are overwhelmed because
Yes.
mothers don't want to be mothers.
Yes.
Grandmothers have to take now.
Yes.
They have to take that extra weight,
Yeah.
and they have to take on responsibilities that they say, "Hey,
I didn't sign up
I
for
didn't
this.
sign up for this.
This is
I
the
didn't
time
sign
of
up
my
for
life when I'm supposed to be doing something
Yeah.
totally
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
can't.
raise my children. Yeah.
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 So
And that's true.
And
It's an unfair system.
Yes,
It is. It's an unfair system.
It's unfair.
But it's the system that we have.
Yes.
It's the
So
system, the
what,
truth,
so,
the reality.
so what do we do?
What do
we do?
We've got
What do
to
we do?
we've got to work.
What do we
We've got
do?
to figure
What
it
do we
out,
do?
right?
Yeah.
But we have to do it by putting the kids first.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the number.
There has to
one
be a
thing.
transition that
There
must
has
happen
to be a
with mothers.
transition. with
There has to
children.
be a transition that has to happen
Yeah.
with mothers. And I say
Yeah.
that, I know you said, well, what about fathers? Because right now we're dealing with mothers that are
With
raising
mothers.
children.
Yes.
Yes.
And we have a lot of them.
Yes.
raising
Because
children.
Yes.
I mean, be honest. When even when they're young, old, or whatever, the mother who gets pregnant, the mother who has the child, the mother. Be honest, the father is the seed giver. But a lot of times it's so easy for them. Whose home does the baby go to? If a girl gets pregnant, it goes to her home with her and her mother. It doesn't go to his home with him and his mother. So it's already started that mother is going to be the one with it. So that's why we're talking
Yes.
about the accountability.
Absolutely.
And I love what both of these ladies said when they were speaking, that if we don't take the time and if we don't raise them in the house at home and set rules
Yes.
for
Yes.
them, because
Yes.
guess what? Because society is going to set rules.
Yes.
And if you don't set rules in your home, they're not going to know how to deal with the
Yes.
rules of society.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of them find themselves in jail
Yes.
or in situations,
Yes.
even with the law
Yes.
right now,
Yes.
that they come up against
Exactly.
them and they end up beaten, and because they don't know. There has never been any type of limit or organization or structure in the home. If you teach your child to obey your rules,
Yes.
like
Right.
you're saying you
Yes.
did, then guess what? They won't have a problem obeying society
Yes.
rules. But it's when the kids don't have rules
Yes.
and they can go and come the way they want,
Yes.
or if they break curfew, nothing happens. Then
Yes.
what happens? They're going to be quick to try to break the
Well,
law.
I want to
Yes.
I want to deal with that. When you said, well,
Yeah.
they break rules,
Yeah,
nothing happens.
Right.
Once again, we're going to go back to the mom.
yeah.
Because stop fearing.
Yeah.
What's the next step when that child continues to disrespect the house? Because remember, I want to
Yeah.
successfully,
Yes.
I want my child, my boy, to be
go
successfully
successful
transformed
from a boy to a man.
Yes.
That success is very
Yes.
important to me.
Right.
So we walk into this level. Mothers as fear. We love so hard
Yeah.
that we don't want to see the next level happen. Meaning, when you disrespect, what happened when it's a continuous flow? Well, guess what? 911.
Yes.
You need to come get him.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
Yes.
Because that gives that child that wow moment.
Yes.
Right.
And sometimes you have to pull that plug that you don't want to pull.
Yes, ma'am.
And I find that a lot of mothers
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
want to go there.
Yes.
They don't.
They want to go, well, why is that?
I don't know why, because I've never really been that type of mother.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I never was. It was like, I guess, I always knew I was by myself.
Yeah.
And I knew, guess what, being a mother was more than just being a female.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's more than just
Yes.
being a female.
Yes.
That's good.
So I just could never do that. And with my boys, it's like I was the authority. I was the nurse. I was the mother, the loving kind. So I had to create that balance within me for my sons.
If it would have gotten out of hand, the question is, would you would have hit that 911 call to call the cops to intervene? Because mothers don't want to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
It's
there's so much
fear.
disrespect going on.
And fear,
in the house.
absolutely.
They're fear, don't
And
they?
fear.
Yeah.
They're fear.
You,
Why?
well, you have a lot of different factors that come into play when it comes to black mothers.
Yeah.
First of all, fear of law enforcement.
Right.
So second of all, it's
That's
their
good.
business. What's in-house stays in-house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the police pull up, then everyone knows my business and I have an issue going on here right now. So you also have that issue. Mothers want to save face.
Yes.
And a lot of mothers love them so deeply, they do feel like they can be the change.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of pulling someone
That's
else from the
that's
outside.
that's
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
So they allow them to
For
keep.
most mothers.
Yeah.
Because
That's
the
what
love
they
is so
feel.
deep,
Yeah.
it's not right, but
Yes.
it's human.
Yes.
But how long do you let it go on
That's it.
before you
That's it.
realize that what you're doing is not working and it's getting deeper and deeper, and to push that 911 call,
That's the
And
way-
now at this time,
Yeah.
you have issues. See, it opens up so many other issues because now you have issues that this mother may be having. When I think about a mother that continuously let their child disrespect them, the mother has some issues that child has seen, that the child, first of all, lost respect for that mother a long time ago.
Wow.
So when you have a child that's
Yeah.
constantly disrespecting the mother and the mother's not doing anything
Yeah.
about it,
It's
that
her issue.
something happened
Yes.
in the past where that child lost total
That's-
respect for
wow.
that mother,
So maybe
and
that
the
child
mother
has
feels
watched
like
some
you
man
have that,
walk over the mother.
and the child has every
Wow.
right to disrespect me
Wow.
because of
Right.
what went down.
And she feels that, and she
And
knows that,
knows
and she
so
knows
there's
it.
guilt
There's
saying
guilt.
I can't come in and correct
That's
the
right.
mom.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Because
Wow.
he lost that respect for me a long time
Yes.
ago when I had this man
And
in,
she
that
understands
man in.
why.
So she feel like
Whether
she don't
she ever
deserve
speaks-
any better.
Yes.
Oh my God.
She deserves the
Because that's what we
treatment.
have to learn to look. The pie is this
Wow.
big, and some things we do, we only get this much.
Yes.
Wow.
So Makisha
Yes.
laid it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
She put the whole pie
Yes.
there.
That's good.
That pie
Wow.
was put there.
Yes.
And we can't just see the child that disrespects
Yeah.
and continue
Yes.
to disrespect.
There's a
Wow.
there's
But
a
there's
underlying
a root.
issue.
It's always
there's a
the
root.
deeper.
There's
There's
a
a
root.
root.
That's
Yeah.
good.
You have a
Follow
lot
the
of boys that got molested,
Yeah.
and the mother never corrected that issue. So how can I respect
Wow.
this lady
That's
who
right.
everyone sees as my mother
Yeah.
when she didn't protect me from being molested?
Yeah.
So there's an inner issue there.
There's always
Yeah,
inner
there's
issues.
always
There's
an inner
always
issue.
inner
So
So we
issues.
need to deal with the root.
Yes.
Right, and that's it. And I'm glad you said we need to deal with, because even if those things happen, and God forbid, but at some point, what do we do? Even in those situations. So what does mom do?
Have to seek outside
You
help.
have to seek.
Yeah.
Okay,
But there also has to be a healing process.
there you go.
It has
That's
to
what
be
I was
a
getting at.
Yes,
So
it has to
maybe
be a healing
communication,
process.
maybe communication,
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
sitting
And
down
now-
with him and saying, listen, I understand this happened, and I understand
With a
that
third
happened.
party,
yes.
Right,
I
and
agree.
going through that.
Yeah.
Maybe some apologizing, maybe forgive me for what.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I'm still your mother.
Absolutely.
But
At
that
the
ties
end of the
down.
day-
That ties
Yeah.
down what you said today. I want to go back to that, the forgiving process.
The forgiving
Now,
process.
you said something today, and I want you all to
Yes.
listen. It was, I think you stepped out for a minute, Elder
Yes.
Carol, but we went through this one-on-one today
Yes.
before the show.
Yes.
And she said something so powerful with forgiveness that I've never heard before.
Yes.
And I said, I need you. And that was the moment I said, I need
Yes.
you. I want you to share a little bit about the process of forgiving, of your perception,
From my
of
perception.
your revelation.
Yes, I explained to her that one day I have so many people that struggle with forgiveness, with that issue. And I find some people who will say, well, I forgave them. But then when you're back at that crossroad, their forgiveness keeps arising.
Right.
So what I'm telling her is one day I was praying and God said, so many of my children struggle with forgiveness because some things that we go through, we can't forgive them in our own strength. And I told him, too much pain. And it's like he took me to the cross. And I looked and he listen, he stretched me wide like that. He says, just like they did my son. He never once said, Father, I forgive them. Because what they did, it was too much. He said, Father, we got to go deeper to forgive sometimes. He said, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. So the son
never forgave.
Yes, he had to go deeper.
Is that a moment? So
he had to go deeper.
The son never forgave. He went to the father. He said, Father, forgive them.
Father, forgive them.
For they know not what they do. Because even the son couldn't forgive him.
So many forgiveness seminars, and I've never seen it. But I'm asking God, why do we struggle? Why do people struggle with forgiveness? The pain is so deep.
So in other words, I'm going to hear you right. Instead of that, let us go to the Father.
Let us go to the Father for this one.
My flesh can't forgive my mother for that, my child for that, my husband. But I'm going to go to the Father and say, Father, you forgive them.
Yes, you forgive them.
So that you can be released.
Yes.
I think that's so powerful.
But guess what? You can't get there unless you have a relationship.
I was just thinking that.
Said it. You got to have a relationship with the Father. It will happen. So people will constantly struggle.
I believe that becomes not an ooh-ah moment. For me, that went okay because now the Father has compassion for me. Because he understands. I gave you grace. I gave you grace. Because now, Lord, forgive them. They don't know. Now, once you say, Lord, forgive them, I'm able to come back now and I can be released. Guess what? Once you forgive them, I'm able to let it go. So I can forgive now. See, there's a twofold to forgiveness. Is that right? And a lot of times we can't forgive because we have this, and I heard this many a time, the revelation I received after that to release me into forgiveness because there's a process that we yet still have to do. But a lot of times we want to forgive, right? And you know where we go? Well, you know what? It's hard for me to forgive them when they don't like me. It's hard for me to forgive them when they're holding this against me. I can't forgive them because, you know, they don't like me. No. Guess what? For what they did to me, Lord Father, forgive them. Now, once the Father forgive them, that released me to let it go. And I can go into a level of right? So there's a
call on the Father.
Then
once I call on Him, He's going to drop His anointing on me. He's going to put me in a whole nother arena to where I'm open now.
I'm open now.
Now I'm open to forgive through calling on Him. Because again, that forgiveness has nothing to do with them. Who's the one that's locked into darkness? Who's the one that's stuck? You are stuck in unforgiveness.
And that has to release some process. That has to release some process. So my transformation tonight is, Lord, forgive them. And give them a true revelation of what that really looks like. Because they don't know any better. Because sometimes people hold us in hostage. I'm in hostage. Why I'm in hostage? They don't know any better. And the Father has already released them. Now, I can be free. Hello, somebody.
It really has.
If I can allow you, and we're bringing you back. So much in you, so much in. But if you can give about 10 seconds out there to just talk a little bit to a mother out there, a mother that may be struggling with raising her son. If you could release a word to her to help her and cultivate her and kind of push her to her destiny and give her some type of level of faith, I would like for you looking at camera and give it to her today.
First of all, mothers, that first relationship that you have to build is with your Heavenly Father. That's the first relationship. Because until you learn to relate to your Heavenly Father, you cannot relate to your son. Not in a proper way. And I love to tell mothers, guess what? God has given us a desire to love our sons, to love our children. But the first thing I just need people to know is, first, seek God. And I watch our children, our sons, whatever they go through. I love to have a lot of young men that talk to me about the hurt, the pain, the lack of a father, man that was there without a father. And know what? I make them understand there is a greater father, our heavenly Father. See, this is what we have to do as mothers. We got to be guiding our kids to a higher place, to a place where, to God. That's what we got to do. We got to do it. That's where they learn to be men. We as mothers have things downloaded in us, but God, we have to. I speak to some young men and I tell them all the time that guess what, no matter what you went through, God says I'm an equal opportunity God. And I make them understand that you got to be born out of this low place into a lit place. Every man, every son, every daughter must be born again. That's the way out. It's a way of escape.
We gotta get her back on. It has to be a sister out there. It can be an aunt. It can be a grandmother. It can be someone out there, and it's not their children. And they got to take the responsibility of a son. They could be raising the child. It's not. They're not birthing the world. What type of recommendation, advice, or empowerment you can give that person tonight?
I would because when you're raising someone else's child, there's a lot of brokenness. It's not your child, so you're already taking on a lot of misassignments from the parents, from the mother, from the father. So I think first you have to gain their trust, because they feel like they don't have it. There's no one here in the world for me. So I think first there has to be a level of trust that you gain with that child, and bringing on the trust is just understanding, letting them know how you feel, and letting them know that you are human and what your intention is for their life. This is what I'm here to do in your life, and this is what I want to do. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you be successful. I don't want to see you, be a statistic. So if you partnership with me, I can get you there, but I need you on my team. That's good. You show them, you don't have mom, you don't have dad, but you have me. You have someone in this fight with you that's going to help you get to where you need to go. But I need your partnership. I can't do it by myself. So first, we go back to, God. Because it has to be some sense of order. And if you really want the respect, they have to seek God. If you really want the respect for them, they have to see what comes out of your mouth is true. They have to see the sacrifice come from you. They have to see you putting your life on hold just to show up for them. Just to show them that, hey, I'm here and everything that I'm saying is true to my word. And as you begin to show them with your actions, it's hard, it's sacrifice, but if this is someone you truly love and you definitely want to see them succeed, there comes a sacrifice, because there's a seed. There can't be a sacrifice without a seed. You have a seed. You have to land a sacrifice to see that seed go where it needs to go. But as they see you and watch you, guess what? They lay down for you. And everybody say, well, why do your brothers respect you like that? Because I gave a sacrifice. I not only gave a sacrifice, I showed them the right when wrong surrounded us. So they say, why did they respect you like that? There's only one reason. I showed them the love of God. I showed them the love of discipline. I showed them the love of a mother, the love of a father. Guess what? Instead of Keisha, you going to hang out with your friends, you're going to go and sit at those basketball games for 15, 16, 17 years. There's a sacrifice, because there's a seed. So it doesn't matter who you're raising, they have to see the sacrifice. And along with the sacrifice is going to come love. It's going to come everything else. And guess what? They will forever respect you because of your sacrifice, because you did not have to give it. So that on top of that, there's a sacrifice. So that's my advice to someone out there who's raising a child that don't belong to you, that you didn't birth in the world. You have just as much power as the mother and the father. You have just as much power, just as much influence, because you don't have to do it. But when they see what you do, guess what? They get to experience what God feel like, because I know you ain't got to do this. I get to feel what God feel like, because I know you really love me, because you sacrificed and you ain't got to do this. So again, there has to be, and as you seek and serve God, guess what? God began to bring people in your environment that sound like you, that look like you. Guess what? He dressed that thing up and connect you to coaches that's going to bring and give the sons those little things that they need from men.
Yes.
And that's just the power of the connection when you connect to God. God finds a way to get these boys the things that you can't give them.
Wow.
You know, so, but there has to be order in there. You just have to trust the process. It's not going to be 100% easy. You might have to, but you got to trust the process. You got to trust the process.
This is good. Elder Carol, awesome job. Elder Carol.
Wow, such passion for both of them. You know what? In this, I have to say, and it came from both of these ladies, all roads lead back to God. All roads lead back to God. You can't do it without God. So the first thing that you have to do, and the most important thing, you have to have a relationship with God. God is that man. So you do have a man in it with you, but that man is God, your Heavenly Father. And He's going to download every principle, everything that you need in order for that boy to be raised from a boy to a man successfully. God will give you everything you need. You have to trust the system of God. You've got to trust that God has downloaded that in you. You've got to trust yourself. You have to trust that you don't have to be desperate. You don't have to go looking for a gender of a man just to bring, because see, that's the trick of the enemy. And that's how he will bring a wolf. He'll dress up a wolf in sheep's clothing just to come into your home and bring destruction. You've got to trust that God has given you and will give you everything that you need in order to raise that boy. Because first of all, understand, he's a loner. God loaned him to you, and God is going to take care of his own. He's God's son first, and then he's your son. So you think that he's not going to give you what you need to raise his son? God will do that, but you have to trust in the system. Trust in the system. Don't be afraid to stand your ground. Stand your ground in your home, mothers. Demand the respect that God says you deserve. You don't have to sit there, and you do not have to, like Keisha said, make a sacrifice, right? Make that sacrifice. But in the midst of making that sacrifice, you don't have to settle. Don't settle, because it's too important. Your son's life is too important for you to settle. Because the moment you settle, you will open the door for the enemy. Because all he needs is a small entrance to come in and run rapid. So trust in God, trust in the system, and trust in yourself, and that you have everything that you need until God brings that godly man, that Boaz, to stand by your side in your household to help to raise your son. Amen.
Listen, I'm telling you, the deposits have been made today. We've had 3 powerful deposits as we conclude on today that has been made today. And I leave you with this scripture. 2 Corinthians 6:18 says, and I will be a father to you. And you will be my sons and daughters. Now, when I think about that, women, I think about the fact that when you have to raise your boys and transition them to men, always remember that you stand as a woman, but you partner with God. I didn't hear partnerships on here today. You make covenant with the Father. And when you make covenant with the Father, you're not raising them alone.
That's right.
The Father on the inside will begin to empower the word to help you raise a child. So at the end of the day, you're not alone. You partner with God. So I encourage you on today that if you can hear our voice on today, and if you're raising these boys and transforming them over to men, partner with God on today. It's important that you partner with the Father today so that you become holistic and you can walk into the things of God. Listen, that's all for tonight. We're super excited about the things that God has done. I think each and every one of these plant sowers on today, they have planted great seeds on today. We thank you. We look forward to seeing you in your future. God bless each and every one of you.
God bless you.